So Chuck Schumer, Bernie Sanders, all the Democrats, looks like they got their debt ceiling raised up. They got enough Republicans to vote. The debt ceiling has been raised. That means that they can start working on those giant stimulus bills, those giant budget plans. They want to add another $5 trillion to the federal debt right now. That's huge. It's going to put a lot of pressure on the dollar. It's going to rise inflation. All of that's going to happen. But inside of inside the budget plan is going to be that American Families Plan. That is going to extend out a lot of the stimulus programs. You're going to have the child tax credit that's going to be extended out through the year 2020. That's going to give everybody with children between the age of 6, $300 checks, and then anybody between 6 and 17, a $250 check. Those are already going out now. So if you do have children, you can file your returns and get those out. That's going to probably extend out through the year 2025. Now, as far as a fourth stimulus check, they haven't really come out and said that yet. But I think what's going to happen is Nancy Pelosi is going to sneak some type of stimulus bill inside of this new giant big budget plan. That's just my personal feeling on this. I also think that the Federal Reserve is going to come out with some type of Fed Now coin. It's going to be like a stable coin. It's going to put an app on your phone, and then they'll drop the stimulus into your app. I think that's what's going to coming down the road. If they do that, if the Federal Reserve does that, they're going to bypass the banks, which aren't going to be happy about it, but they're also going to bypass Congress, which I'm not sure they're going to be too thrilled about it either. But in order for Congress to do that, I think they have to change their mandate of the Federal Reserve to allow that to happen. What the federal government is trying to do is trying to stimulate the economy with people going out there and taking these stimulus checks and spending them. But what's happening is people are taking these stimulus checks and they're investing them. They're putting them in the stock market. They're putting them in cryptocurrencies. They're putting them in gold and silver. Things like that. So that's what people are using the stimulus for. So Congress, the Federal Reserve, Treasury, they're all trying to bang their heads against the wall, trying to figure out how can we get the velocity of money moving forward and moving out quickly through the economy. Now you have all of these senators right now. They're going back and forth as far as the debt ceiling. Every few years, it's nothing new. They just come together and they put on this theater, this political theater, and then at the last minute they say, all right, we're going to raise the debt ceiling. They have until December 3rd in order to get the debt ceiling raised again. Now, until that point, they have this giant $3.5 trillion stimulus plan that Bernie Sanders is trying to push for. To me, Bernie Sanders, if he had it his way, he'd write a $10 trillion check. I mean, it's just, at some point, it's like, all right, you have to say, all right, guys, you're printing way too much money. It's devaluing the currency of we have right now. And I think some of these senators, they should sit down with some of the people that in the economy and look at other places like Venezuela and things like that where they've devalued their currency so bad. It can happen in the U.S. So if you think it doesn't happen, it will happen at some point. But until that point, they're going to try to get monthly checks out to everybody, get more checks to people that need it the most. I think it's a good thing. I think that they're trying to do the right thing. I think Democrats are trying to do the right thing, but they got to understand that they can't just tax billionaires at 100%. If they do that, they're only going to fund the government for the next 8 months. It's just they can't tax enough and they can't print enough money. Now, they can print enough money and they can borrow the money. That's the one thing the federal government can do is they can borrow the money from the Federal Reserve. Local states and cities, they're the ones that have to balance their budget with the income that they take in from people in that area, like sales taxes and maybe income taxes in the states or from property taxes that they bring in. They have to balance their budgets. They can't just borrow the money. So what's going to happen? Well, you have stimulus checks going out to a lot of these states, and individual states have a lot of money, billions of dollars in their treasury that they can send out to people in their area. One of the states is Alaska. They have this annual oil wealth checks. Also, they have a extended program. They're going to be coming out with more stimulus to the people in that area, and it's going to be qualifying based on certain criteria in Alaska. Now, Tennessee also is sending out $1,000 checks to teachers in that state. Also, you have Georgia, Florida, Maryland, and I think Michigan are the other states that are sending out stimulus checks to teachers. Now, Florida does have a plan, so they're going to be giving police officers, firefighters, all of them are going to be getting a stimulus check. The state of New York has $2.1 billion set aside for excluded workers. And then also in the city of New York is going to be money sent out to artists, some money sent out to cab drivers, and then also the homeless in that city. So look for those payments to go out also. There is some money that was set aside for people that were struggling as far as to help pay the bills, maybe help pay electricity, help pay broadband. Those are available in each state has a home. It's like a home agency that a program or organization. You got to get with them. You just go to Google and type in home. I think it's home agency in the state. And then what they'll do is they'll help you with some type of the bills. That was money that was set aside in the American Rescue Plan that President put together. If you're in California, you will be getting that stimulus check for $600, total of $1,100 in the state of California, which is good news. I think every state should do it. Some of the states are actually taking the money and they're using it for other stuff. They're not using it for stimulus. Example would be Alabama. They're taking the money and they're trying to improve prisons. I get it, you need to improve your things, but the stimulus was given to each to turn around and hand those back to the citizens in that state. There are a lot of Democrats in the House of Representatives that are trying to put a bill together to try to block states from taking that money and then using it for other stuff, which they, I guess they have the right to do that, but they have till December 31st to come up with some type of stimulus program that allows, gets basically more money out to people in that area. So look for those in your state. Again, a lot of the states are kind of adding more stimulus programs, but it's a slow process right now for them. I don't know why they're taking so slow, but we're going to have to see what kind of pressure over the course of the next couple of months is put on a lot of these states in order to get these stimulus checks out. There's also this petition at change.org. This is Stephanie Bonin, a Colorado restaurant owner, started the petition last year when the pandemic began, and she had a temporarily close her business to slow the spread of the pandemic or the virus. It's since garnered more than 2.9 million signatures, with nearly 1 million of these signatures coming in just 4 states. So a lot of the signatures, this isn't really law, but what this is going to do is put a lot of pressure on to see that they want to get a monthly stimulus payment going out. Now, I personally felt like they should have had some type of monthly payment going out because they forced these businesses to shut down, and when you do that, people can't support themselves. And then it's unfortunate that they did that. However, they did not put out some type of monthly checks. Now, there is a support act in the House of Representatives. AOC, a lot of the progressives, they have this monthly payment they want to get out to everybody. So it's about $1,200, I think, on a monthly payment going out. They're going to try to push that. That is going to be the precursor for the universal basic income. That's what I feel like is coming down the road. Again, the Federal Reserve will have that stablecoin app that they're going to put onto their app. You take that app, you go out and spend it. That's where they're trying to get the velocity of money. They're trying to get people to take that money and spend it. I've heard all kinds of crazy things too with that app, that they might put time limits on it. So they're going to give you $1,000 and they say you have to spend that by this weekend or spend it by this month or whatever. If they do that, that really will create a lot of velocity, but it's going to create so much inflation. They just have no clue what they're doing. I think they're just struggling trying to figure out how they're going to be competing with a lot of these up and coming cryptocurrencies. A lot of things like Bitcoin and all that. They're going to try to compete with all those. And it's going to be a struggle for them. I know the federal government's going to, over the course of the next couple of years, they're really going to be struggling trying to figure out how we're going to with these stable coins. And I think they shouldn't compete. I think they should embrace them. They should take Bitcoin in. They should say, let's start using this as world reserve currency. The only problem is they can't print Bitcoin like they can print the US dollars. And that's why they like this printing press. But at some point, you just print so much money that it just devalues it so bad. That's what happened to Venezuela. And if the U.S. dollar goes the way of Venezuela, man, it's going to be huge impacts on. And so I don't know how they're going to, if it's going to all of a sudden wake up one day and it's going to be, the value is going to go crazy. I've heard of hyperinflation and all that. It happened in Weimar, Germany back in the 20s. So we're going to see. And that's why I'm always encouraging people, try to get some gold, try to get some silver if you can, try to pick up some cryptocurrencies and just hedge your bets a little bit. Just try to get it out of the U.S. dollar, because I think the U.S. dollar is going to start to devalue even harder over the course of the next couple of years. And if you position yourself into a real asset, could be a cryptocurrency, it could be gold or silver. If you get your money into a real asset like that, you're going to protect your purchasing power. And I think that's the most important thing that people should be worrying about right now.